This is my Grammy, Catherine Reilly, who was born December 31st, 1925. Grammy, where were you born?
I was born in my grandmother's house on New Year's Eve, and the doctor came to the house to deliver me, and he stopped at the kitchen table to share a drink with my grandmother, and someone came running in saying I was hemorrhaging. So there I was, the doctor was still there, and they ended up giving me a shot of bootleg whiskey, and they said that's what saved my life.
That's funny. What was your family like growing up?
I had 3 sisters, and I was the second of 4 of us. My father was a policeman, and he drove a motorcycle, and it was always impressive to have a motorcycle parked in front of our house. And my father was a handsome, handsome man, and he was very strict with us girls. I guess because of the policeman, he saw so many bad things. Our play yard was our city block where we lived in Bayonne, and we could play in that rectangular city block of 41st Street because we didn't have any streets to cross. And that was a no-no to cross the street. Watch out for cars, you had to. And as I remember, it was a pretty happy childhood. My next sister was just 2 years younger than I, and so we were like twins. They dressed us alike, except I had pink and my sister had blue. And we could do almost anything as long as we were doing it together.
Awesome.
And that went on through our teenage years, all the way through. So it was a pretty good life. I had a good mother, a good father. We had the aunts, maiden aunts, who had no children or responsibilities, and so they were like second mothers to us.
That's awesome.
That's all in all, was pretty happy.
That's good. What was your role in the family growing up?
My what?
Role?
My role, I was the student, the scholar. I started first grade when I was 4.
Wow.
And yes, and I could read before I went to school.
Okay.
And I always loved school. I enjoyed it, I enjoyed learning, and I was always kind of a teacher's pet. I have to admit it. So it was a good life. I was having a good life in school and a good life at home.
Good. What kind of punishments or rewards or incentives did your parents give you for your behavior?
Just yelled at us, and that was enough to scare us.
Yeah.
I can remember doing something wrong, and my father was coming home at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I had to run and hide. And the hiding place was behind the bedroom door. He eventually found me and kind of laughed. So we didn't have any really serious discipline.
Okay.
For girls, we were pretty good.
That's good. What were your family's expectations of you?
My mother was a great believer in education. That's the only thing that I can remember being said to us. She would say, they can't take your education away from you. And this was from a mother who never even finished high school.
Oh, wow.
But she was a great believer in it. She had 4 girls, and all of us did graduate from college with advanced degrees.
Did you guys have any special traditions that you?
Well, most of our traditions revolved around the aunts, my mother's sisters. So on holidays, we always had dinner at the aunts. That's what we call them, the aunts. And that was the gathering place for us more than our own home.
Cool. What holidays did your family celebrate?
Oh, Christmas was always the biggest thing. The best memories I have are of Christmas. I always lamented and was sad about the fact that because I was born on New Year's Eve, I never had a birthday party.
Mm.
And so many times I would get gifts at Christmas time for my birthday, and they'd say, that's for your birthday too. So my birthday would just go passing by. So I made sure as an adult that my children knew they could not give me my birthday present at Christmas.
What morals did your parents stress?
Morals?
Yeah.
Well, my father was a policeman,
Mm-hmm.
so he taught us early on that policemen were our friends. He also taught us the necessity for strict obedience to the law. He brought a gun into our house every day, and we knew we could not ever touch that or go near it. And my father was really the strict disciplinarian. And we were so frightened of him that we were too scared to be bad. And yet he loved us.
Were there any significant historical events that impacted your family?
No, we were fortunate. In retrospect, we were living the years of what they call the Depression. But my father was a policeman. So we never were in a home where there was someone without a job.
Mm-hmm.
So we bypassed that, and my mother's family had a little above average income.
Mm-hmm.
They did better.
That was fortunate.
Yes.
Yeah. What was the demographic makeup of the community in which you lived?
Well, we lived in a place called Bayonne, and to this day we still identify ourselves as Bayonneites, and by the parish we belong to in Bayonne. If I meet someone today who said they come from Bayonne, I would immediately ask, what parish were you in? Because then you could identify their makeup and the kind of friends, because there were ethnic backgrounds that stayed in one spot. You know, there was an Irish parish, and there was a German parish, and there was an Italian parish.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how we identified ourselves.
Cool. What were the main industries or occupations that supported the residents of your community?
The oil industry. Definitely the oil industry. Exxon was the big provider, and if you had a job or someone in your family had a job with Exxon,
Mm-hmm.
you were blessed.
That's interesting.
Hmm?
I said that's interesting.
Yeah, it is. It is, and even to this day we still can make that identification.
Cool. What was your family's economic status? I think we kind of touched on that already.
Yeah, I think we have. As I said, one of my sisters and I were saying, where did we get all the money to do as much as we did when we were young? But I think there was some sort of a trail from the aunts providing funds and our family.
How did your economic status affect your lives? Your life?
Well, I think it affected it education-wise, because it was very unusual at that time for someone on a policeman's salary, my father, to have 4 girls, and all of them, and especially the girl part, all of them went to college and graduated from college.
Right.
So, and I never remember being told, we can't afford to do something. Never.
Yeah. That's fortunate. What type of education did you receive? We've kind of just talked
Well,
about
as I've told the story to you kids many times, my father wouldn't let me take a scholarship to college, because I was the student in the family. I was the honor student, and that was my label. I could get lost in books and not know what was going on in the world around me.
Wow.
And what was your question?
It was what type of education did you receive?
And so we had a commuting college that we could get to. And we all went to college.
That's awesome.
Which, as I said, was unusual, not just for the economic status of my father, but for the cost. You know, it was different then.
Were there any significant historical events that impacted your community?
My
Community? Bayonne?
No.
Okay. What was the student to teacher ratio in your elementary school?
Well, we went to parochial school.
Okay.
Run by the nuns, and I can still remember because the nuns used to make me do the writing for them. They liked my handwriting. And I can remember on the board in the back of the room, I would have to write the attendance for the day. And we had 26 boys and 26 girls in our class that I remember writing those numbers. Can you imagine 52 in a classroom today?
Wow.
And so that's the way it was. And the parochial training basically was by rote. You had to memorize. So to this day, you could talk forever, and I wouldn't learn anything, but if I see it in writing and read it, then I'll remember it.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I call myself a visual learner.
How did grammar school differ from junior high or high school?
Well, there was no junior high.
Oh, okay.
You went grades K through 8. And then 4 years of high school.
Okay.
And we, in our family, went to the Catholic high school where there was a tuition. $5 a month was the tuition.
Okay.
And I got a scholarship.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
Yeah. And what was the question again? I got.
It was how grammar school differed from junior high or high school. Thank you.
Well, high school didn't change much.
Okay.
High school was, we had the same nuns and the same teaching philosophy.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of memorization and go by the book sort of thing.
Okay. What directions or opportunities in life were opened by your education?
Well, when I graduated from college, your choice as a female for jobs were limited.
Mm-hmm.
You could be a teacher, you could be a nurse, you could work for the telephone company as a telephone representative.
Mm-hmm.
Even as a college graduate, those were the three
Wow.
careers, if we could call it that,
Mm-hmm.
that were open to us. And
Wow.
that's what people did.
That's interesting. And you picked being a teacher, right?
Yes.
Yeah. What were the cutting edge technologies of the day?
Cutting edge technologies. Well, the telephone was still pretty new, so there's some technology that we were exposed to.
Yeah.
Cars were becoming more frequent, and
Mhm.
girls could drive. I had been driving since I was 17 and loved driving.
Cool.
What other technology?
Yeah.
Just the phone is all I can think of.
Okay. So did any technologies have a great impact on your childhood or not so much?
Not really. We didn't
Yeah.
use phones like they use them today.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. What were the popular toys and games of the era?
Well, we played board games. We liked them.
Mm-hmm.
I think Scrabble was around even then, but we played checkers a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember my uncle teaching us how to play solitaire.
Oh.
So I learned that at an early age.
That's awesome.
We weren't athletic,
Mm-hmm.
which kind of disappointed my father, I should think, because he was very athletic. As a matter of fact, he had been offered a professional baseball
Wow.
to be on one of the teams, but his mother wouldn't let him because he would have to be away from home.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. That's crazy. Who were the popular actors and musicians of the era?
Oh my goodness, we sang our own songs. And when we started listening to popular music,
Mm-hmm.
well, the only one I can think of whom I love still dearly is Frank Sinatra. That was my beau. And we went for the big band era. That was
Mhm.
our kind of music, the big band, and dancing. We did these snazzy dances, like dipping was a real art. You could dip when you were dancing with a guy. But that was about it.
Cool. You were talking about your dad and baseball. What athletes and sports were popular?
Well, baseball was always in our house.
Mm-hmm.
My father would put on that radio if they did announce the baseball games.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have strong memories of the baseball announcer in our house. And none of us listened to it because none of us cared about baseball. See, that's what happens when you have 4 girls.
What did you do for entertainment as a kid?
Well, every Saturday we had to go to our movie. And I had an uncle who was a policeman
Mm-hmm.
who used to do extra work at the movie house on Saturdays, keeping the kids in order.
Oh.
And he got us in free.
Oh, wow.
So that was a constant Saturday matinee movie.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't matter what was playing, we saw everything.
How did what you did for entertainment change from when you were a little kid to when you became a teenager?
Well, when we were a teenager, all these different church parishes in Bayonne where we lived had youth groups.
Mm-hmm.
And they ran dances at least once a week. So they alternated them, so you could go to a dance every night in the week if you wanted.
Wow.
If you went to a different parish.
Mhm.
So we did that. Oh, there was too much. But I remember we wanted to join the Girl Scouts,
Mhm.
and no Catholic church had a Girl Scout group.
Oh, really?
So we couldn't belong to the Girl Scouts because the only group that was open was a Protestant church group.
Oh, wow.
And we were not allowed, by order of our parish,
Wow.
to belong to the Protestant Girl Scouts.
That's so interesting.
Isn't that?
Yeah.
When I think of it now, it was really strange, because I can remember we used to pass the Protestant church on our way to school every day. And my heart used to ache because I liked groups like the Girl Scouts.
Mhm.
And I couldn't belong to one.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. I appreciate your sympathy.
How did the pop culture of the times affect your life?
Well, I met my husband through that. He went to the same high school that I went to.
Mhm.
And so I used to see him at the dance groups. We were both terrible dancers, but we belonged together, so it worked out.
Mhm. What did the older generations think of the new fads and fashions?
Of the new what?
Fads and fashions.
Oh, they clucked at it. They clucked at it. I remember when the two-piece bathing suits came out,
Mhm.
and I had one, and my aunt, one of the aunts,
Mhm.
saw me in the two-piece bathing suit. Oh, she was shocked beyond words. She saw a picture of me in a two-piece bathing suit. So I never let her see a picture of me in a two-piece bathing suit again.
That's so interesting. Where was your first date and what did you do?
Oh, my first date was it was a New Year's Eve date,
Mhm.
and it was to go to this special place where young people hung out, and it had a orchestra and
Wow.
dancing. And my older sister fixed me up with a date,
Mhm.
a friend of her dates. And that was my first date, and it was New Year's Eve.
So
And
your
I
birthday.
remember it clearly.
That's awesome.
It was good.
Good. Good. How old were you when you got your first car?
When I got a car, well, we always had a car in the family.
Mhm.
So I got my license to drive when I was 17,
Okay.
and I drove the family car,
Mhm.
but I never had my own car till I was married.
Okay. What type of car was the first car that you had?
Chevy Impala.
What was your favorite memory of being a child or being a teenager?
Child of the what?
Of being a child or of being a teenager? Your favorite childhood memory?
I don't have any distinctive ones that I can think of.
Mhm.
I always made the honor roll, so I didn't have too many disappointments.
That's good.
There was always some guy who liked me, so I did all right. I guess it was the intrusion of World War II that made the biggest impact
Mhm.
on the way you operated.
Yeah.
You
did,
know,
Did that impact your life?
wrote more letters than you had dates.
Yeah.
But we still had the dates, and we had the mad money. My father used to make us take some extra money with us in case we wanted to take a bus home. We had nickel buses.
Mhm.
We went everywhere on nickel buses.
Cool. I guess we'll segue into your adult life now, if that's
Oh,
okay.
that's a good life.
Okay. How did you raise and maintain your own family?
Strictly by instinct and experience, that's all.
Mhm.
I did what had been done to me because I was satisfied with it.
Mhm. What was your family like?
Oh, I had the greatest family in the world. I had a wonderful husband who died too early. He was only 41. And left me with 3 children, 7, 9, and 14 when he died. So as a result, the 4 of us are pretty close.
Mhm.
And we appreciate each other a lot more because we've needed each other a lot more.
Mhm. What was your role in the family?
I was the bad mother, the mean mother. Oh, we never had any big crises,
That's good.
unless my memory's fading. At 87, that happened.
What kind of punishments or rewards or incentives did you give your kids for their behavior?
Well, I always say my kids never lied to me because I never asked the right questions. See, if you avoid the questions, then you don't have to worry about them lying. But I enjoyed raising my children.
Good.
And I was fortunate that I was a teacher myself.
Mhm.
And we could identify with what I was doing and what they were doing.
Mhm.
And basically, they were good kids. They are good kids.
That's great. Did your family have any special traditions?
Well, holidays are always traditions. We managed to get together.
Mhm.
I can't think of any special things we did.
Okay.
My daughter and I loved to travel together, or we did. And that was good.
Mhm.
And the boys were always helpful.
That's good. What holidays did your family celebrate?
Oh, Christmas was always the biggest one.
Yeah.
But I remember Thanksgiving,
Mhm.
after her father died, my daughter was disappointed we were always going out for Thanksgiving dinner. Someone always invited us.
Mhm.
And so she pressured me. I had to have our family for Thanksgiving dinner. And I still have pictures of that day, and I remember it well. It was a good day. I had to cook the turkey and all those vegetables. But it was a great day, and my Janie was happy.
Good.
She probably doesn't even remember, but I do.
What morals did you stress as a parent?
What?
What morals did you stress as a parent?
Use good judgments, I guess.
Mhm.
I don't remember.
Mhm.
Blank. We went by instinct.
Yeah. Yeah. What principles have guided your life? What morals have you tried to live by?
Telling the truth,
Mhm.
no matter what the cost, has been a hard rule to live by.
Mhm.
Because sometimes people don't want the truth.
Mhm.
But I had a good support system all my life.
That's great.
That's all. No big deal.
What do you believe to be the secret to a happy life?
make sure that there are enough people in your life that you love and that love you back. Because the affection I feel, and it's a physical feeling,
Mm-hmm.
the feeling of affection that I get from my children, I hope I return to them, and I try to return to them. Because that's where your life is.
Mm-hmm. What type of community did you live in as an adult? Have you lived in?
What is it?
What type of community have you lived in as an adult?
Oh, I have a fun life as a retired person. I really, like, I have my little one-bedroom condo, and I have a neighbor that I discovered who is a very, very good friend. She went to the same high school, and we like the same things. We're there for each other. And I have kids who are attentive without being overbearing, except about my not driving. And I feel loved, and I guess the word I want, when my husband died, the one thing I missed the most in my life was the feeling of being cherished. I missed that being cherished and was sad that it wasn't in my life anymore. And I found it in my children. They do take care of me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's leave me with the feeling of being cherished. And that makes my life worthwhile.
That's great. What issues went into the decision about choosing a community or neighborhood to raise your family?
There was no choice. I lived my whole first 40 years of life within a 10-block radius.
Oh, wow.
That was home base.
Yeah. What was the economic picture for your region or for the nation at this time?
At now?
No, when you were, like, raising your family.
Well, I always worked at education. I was a teacher,
Mm-hmm.
which was good.
Mm-hmm.
My husband always worked. When he died, I was able to manage. I had been fortunate to have had a pretty good economic status. I've been able to earn money myself. I had an uncle, bachelor uncle, who was very good to me.
Mm-hmm.
And finances have rarely been a problem.
That's awesome. What were the major political issues of the time when you were raising your family?
You know, that's one thing in my life. I can't believe that I lived through so many social problems and did nothing and never became involved with them. I was concentrating on myself and raising 3 kids
Mm-hmm.
by myself. So I never did get involved in social issues, and I wish I had.
What types of social issues?
Well, I'm trying to think of how to phrase it. The problems with black people.
Mm-hmm.
We never had black people around, so I was never aware until very late in life that that was a social problem.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel I missed the boat. I should have done something.
Mm-hmm.
But there isn't anything else that was a big social issue that I feel I missed.
Mm-hmm. That's good. Who were the major political figures and what did you think of them?
I came from an Irish Democratic Party
Mm-hmm.
family who associated being a Democrat with your religion.
Mhm.
And so if you didn't vote Democratic, uh, you were a traitor to the family. And I've gotten over that. I'm still basically a Democrat, but I can look a little further than my nose.
um, what involvement did you have in the political process? Voting.
Really none.
Really?
No.
Okay.
It was never a priority, unfortunately, because I feel that that's something we all should do.
Mhm. What changes in technology came about during this time when you were raising your
Oh my Lord. All of these machines and things, I can't keep up with them. I've kind of washed my hands, and I know my kids are disappointed that I didn't latch on to all of these devices. I can't even remember the names of them, but I don't carry any of them.
Mhm.
I'm lucky I have one credit card.
Did these inventions change your family's way of life?
Not really.
Mhm.
Not really, because I don't have anything to change. Well, if I need help with my TV, I call my son. That's about it.
What changes in pop culture took place?
Oh, don't even ask me about that. I can't listen to today's music. I'm always hanging out for the oldies but goodies. I just don't have the physical energy at this stage in my life to keep up with it, so
Yeah.
I ignore it.
Same. What issues of generational pop culture differences affected the household? So, I asked about when you were growing up, what older generations thought of your fads and fashions. How about what did your generation think of the new fads and fashions in your household? Was there ever any tension or anything?
No,
No.
no, we're very tolerant. We laughed at each other.
That's good. What about in the community? Was it ever?
No,
That's good. And
no,
in the nation at all?
never affected my life.
That's good. What were the popular toys and games of the era when you were raising your children? Like, what did they play with?
Well, having two boys, sports became more of a factor
Mhm.
as an observer for me, but they enjoyed taking part in sports.
That's good.
That's about the only
Okay.
thing.
Who were the popular actors and musicians then?
Oh, you're going to make me say Frank Sinatra again. That's my guy.
Mhm. What athletes and sports were popular?
Oh, well, we all love the Yankees.
Mhm.
We all love them. And periodically there's always some figure that catches my eye and I follow, like Joe Namath.
Mhm.
And I enjoy secondhand sports,
Mhm.
mostly baseball and football.
Okay. What TV programs and movies were popular?
Oh, goodness. They were all gone now. But I'm addicted to game shows. And that's the true word, addicted. I could spend the whole day just tuned into the game show network.
Yeah, I know.
And I enjoy it totally. I wake up with it, I go to sleep with it.
What's your favorite memory so far of being an adult?
Being an adult?
Yeah.
don't know, it just seems like such a natural transformation through the years
Mhm.
that you just go with the flow. So here I am, 87.
That's awesome. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about?
No, except to say that life is good.
Oh, good.
It really is.
That's great.
And I hope I live to be 100.
Me too. Okay, well, thank you, Grammy. I appreciate it.
Oh,
That's everything.
I should have thought more about it.
Oh, no, it's fine. Oops. How do you stop?